Hola clase. I am here in module 5, week 5. We're in Mi Casa es Tu Casa, and we'll be identifying family members based on connections. We will use possessive adjectives in context, and we're going to identify the meaning of AR verbs and fill out some verb charts. That's this week. So first in Blackboard, you do have that assignment due Monday where you have to identify the family members. So for example, you're going to say things like, oh, el hermano de mi la hija de mi tía es the child of my aunt. So you have to know your family members to be able to fill in those charts. So you want to fill that in and then turn it in Blackboard. That's due by Monday. And then you have a quiz on family members in MindTap, also Monday. And then you're getting into Exploraciones Gramaticales Uno in MindTap, which is the possessive adjectives. So that is our schedule for this week. You can also see what's coming up here. So why don't we go into MindTap and just take a look at some of these structures. So here we have a conversation between Paula and Rosa. And Paula says, and if you could repeat after me, ¿Es esta una foto de tu familia, Rosa? En Rosa responde, sí, esa foto es el del Día de la Madre. Aquí está mi hermano. Sorry about that. So we left off with aquí está mi hermano Miguel y aquí está mi hermana Susana con su esposo Jaime. Este es su hijo Tomás. Y ellos son mis padres. Paula responde, ¿y ese gato en la mesa? Rosa, es Bibi, nuestra gata. Es cómica y muy cariñosa, pero muy mala con nuestro pobre perro. You want to look at the conversation above and you want to answer a few questions for me. The first one is, what are two ways of expressing my in Spanish from the conversation above? We're looking at numero uno here. What is the difference between the two forms? So let's look at the topics again, the passage. Try to find two different ways that my is expressed and explain it to me. What is the difference? And then the second question says, what are the two forms of nuestro in the conversation? What is the difference between the two forms? So you want to look for the two examples of the word nuestro. They look similar. And tell me what you think are the differences. Finally, the last question, in the conversation, the word su has two different meanings. Number 3, find the two uses of su above and how are they different. So you're going to look in the conversation. You're going to find the two examples of su and tell me what do you think they mean in context. So here I'm just going to show you the PowerPoint that is in actually Module 4. I always put it at the beginning of the chapter. So if we start Capítulo 2 in Module 4, then it will be there for both 4 and 5. So I'm just going to open that and reference it now. So if you just open the PowerPoint there, and it just shows you, let's open it here. And it just has some practices in there. So we have like some conversación, some palabras, pronunciación, el hijo, el hermano. And then it talks about puntos especiales. When speaking about family members, you can pluralize the masculine to describe a mixed gender. Like mi padre is my father. Mis padres are my parents. Mi tío is my uncle. Mis tíos are my aunt and uncle. Or it could be my uncles, but usually it's mixed. Same with hermano or hermanos. That's going to be a mix like siblings. And then here, this is similar to what we did we're doing for homework. La madre de mi padre es mi. So the mother of my father is my. El esposo de mi tío es mi. And then here so then we're just going to go to the possessive adjectives, which is what we're working on today. So as you saw in the video, we show here that we have two forms when we say my. It's either going to be me or mis. It depends on if what's yours is either singular or plural. So, for example, when we had the example of mi abuelo, it's going to be my grandfather one. But when we have mis abuelos, it's going to be that it's grandparents. So we have to look at the thing that's ours. So if it's singular, abuelo, it's going to be mi abuelo, mis abuelos. I'm hermano, my brother. But if it were hermanos, how would that change? That would be mis hermanos. Then the same thing with tú. So tú is going to be your and the singular and plural. So it could be like tu amigo or tus amigos. But if I had your mom, it would be what? Tu mamá. But what if it were your parents? Tus padres. Su is actually one of the hardest working possessive adjectives because it's his and her and their. So if you notice, it's both his, it's singular, and then it also means their. So if I said like his family, it's going to be su familia, his families, or sus familias. So it changes to sus based on the fact that familias is plural. Same thing with sus down there. So at the bottom, it says su perro. It's their dog. So based on the context, you'll know, are they talking about his or her or their? Same thing with nuestro. First, nuestro, we have 4 forms. So it could be either nuestro, nuestra, nuestros, or nuestras. So we have 4 forms for that one. Whereas with the other ones, we only had 2. So like nuestra clase. But if it were clases, how would nuestra change? That should be nuestras clases. Same with nuestros profesores, our professors. What if we just had one professor? That would change to nuestro profesor. So you see how it changes from profesores to profesor. We have to change the adjective as well. Then we have vuestro, which is like vosotros, you guys or your. So when we say vuestro hermano, what are we saying in English? It's like y'all's brother. You guys' brother. It's bad English, but. And then same with compañeras. When I say vuestras compañeras, what am I saying? I'm saying like you guys or your companions or classmates. So these are our possessive adjectives. And just as an introduction, so you always want to, just like the adjectives before, I said they have to match like a puzzle. If one's singular or one's plural, also feminine, masculine, you have to keep those in consideration. They all have to match together. You can't say mis padre, it has to be mi padre. So let's just do a couple examples here. For numero uno here, it says, ¿de quién son los mapas? And here we want to say, they are my maps. They are, that word is in the question. So in that one, it would be son mis mapas, mis. So because my is me or mis, and mapas is plural, it would be mis mapas. What about numero dos? ¿De quién es la soda? Whose soda is this? You're trying to say it's your soda. So am I going to use tu or tus for that? Here I would say es tu soda, tu soda. Next one I have is ¿de quién es el reloj? We want to say it's his watch, talking about Pablo. In that case, we would say es su reloj. ¿De quiénes son los lápices? We want to say they are y'all's lápices. So we could either use su or sus or vuestro or vuestros. It depends. If you're using vosotros, then you can say vuestros son vuestros lápices. But if you're saying with ustedes, remember that's falling in that same category as ellos and ellas and ustedes. So it would be sus lápices. So let's just make sure you have notes for this concept and that you're able to, so if you could just take out your notebook and then we'll just take the notes and then use these for, as you're doing your homework on possessive adjectives. So let's just name this adjetivos posesivos, possessive adjectives. And let's just make sure we know. So we have my, that's either going to be me or mis, depending on if the thing's plural. How about your? Your for two is either going to be your, is going to be two, no accent, because two with the accent is you. Das is your, or tus. To say his or her or you formal, it's going to be su or sus. If it's plural, then it's going to be sus. For our, it's going to be nuestro, or it could be nuestra, and it also could be nuestros or nuestras. 4 different forms, depending on if the thing is singular, plural, or masculine or feminine. We have to take into consideration. For the vosotros, it's either going to be vuestro or vuestra, or also vuestros or vuestras. So there's 4 different forms based on if it's feminine, singular, vuestra casa, or masculine singular, vuestro papel, y'all's paper, or vuestros papeles, y'all's papers, or vuestras casas, y'all's houses. So it has to match. And then again, we have that su and sus here to say their, like their pencils, sus lápices, or su casa, their house. So that's going to be there, or also you guys, because if it's ustedes, this is going to be y'all's, let's call it, bad English. And then here we have our, make sure you know, his or her or your, if it's usted, like the formal, this is going to be your. So those are your notes. Just make sure you have them. Muchas gracias, clase. Que pases buen día. Have a good day.